cloud.
Awesome. So thank you everyone for joining us again. We're going to get started with our next product showcase. Next up is Higher Logic Thrive, and they will be showcasing how to drive the best member engagement through your marketing using the Higher Logic Thrive platform. And during that time, they're going to explore how Higher Logic Thrive's marketing automation integration works with iMIS and how it can accelerate your community. So I am happy to present to you David and Taryn, who are both with Higher Logic, and they will be chatting about the Higher Logic product with you all today. So I'll turn it over to you two now.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And as mentioned, I am David Javel. I'm Director of Sales here in Higher Logic. This is Taryn Morrissey. Taryn, I don't know if you want to say a little bit something about yourself.
Yep. So yeah, I'm a team lead for the Association Advisors, Marketing Automation Advisors for Higher Logic. We'll get into a little bit more in a bit.
Oh yeah, and David Javel here. I've probably met a few of you here. I appreciate those of you familiar with our products. Bear with us. There's some new, fun, and exciting stuff that we do want to share with you all as we talk a little bit more about our solution. In general, for those of you not familiar with the Higher Logic Thrive platform, it does have a full breadth of technologies that are all coming together to create a very solid experience for your members. You notice there, of course, this will all work very nicely with your iMIS solutions that you have in place or looking to have in place as well. And it does incorporate and really benefit off of some of those other technologies that you may have heard of or seen today as well. In addition to that, yes, there's going to be integrations that are available. So again, thinking about some of those partners that integrate, they are going to be familiar with the Higher Logic solution. We are very anxious to be able to work with them as well to make sure we can further the association and their adoption and usage to create a better member experience. We are absolutely going to talk about the marketing automation components that Higher Logic offers, and of course with a big focus on the community side of things. But again, just another quick breakdown of where you might see some of the benefits of that marketing automation piece, as well as the community components that you have. And the reason that you're seeing Taryn on the screen there as well is that she is that expert advisor. She's going to be able to talk a little bit more about how she'll be able to assist to make sure you're leveraging all the different components that you're seeing on the screen here. What are some of the recommended approaches that you might take? Or if you're already hitting a home run with some of those capabilities today, great. How do we use that as a model to be able to implement in other initiatives that you might have as well? So again, just a little bit about what the Higher Logic Thrive platform includes, and of course that connection that it brings amongst iMIS, the marketing components, and that community all in one place. So let's talk a little bit about the Higher Logic Thrive side of things. So when you think about the community components, what Higher Logic has been able to do is create that area where prospective members could, of course, get familiar with your association. Yes, you're going to have maybe sites hosted through Rise on iMIS side of things, but this is complementary to that. This is going to be something that's going to be branded, give a look and feel to what your website has, but it also gives you really good, easy, quick access to be able to introduce some of those community areas that you want to have non-members exposed to, right? Give them that incentive to see the benefits of something like an online community. So think of this as that non-logged in page, or that purview into what the community is going to benefit, what some of those offers are. So again, just thinking how that life cycle of a member is when they're in college, when they just graduated, when they just got their certifications and they're ready to pursue that career and get familiar with the space and the association that supports them. Here's some areas that they can, again, take a look at and then be able to say, I'm ready to join, I'm ready to reach out, I'm ready to sign up for that association. You notice there's also some of those connections that we make available to things like open opportunities. That's logically the next step in somebody who's just completed their educational portion and ready to move on to their career path. So again, having all of that hosted and available for you here is something that we make very, very easy for you to manage, be able to come in and modify. You can see the capabilities there. Perhaps you're familiar with other CMS solutions out there, even the Rise pages. This is going to be comparable, fall in line with that. because we do want to make it simple, efficient. We talked about small teams earlier. You just don't have a lot of time sometimes. You want to make sure that you're able to get to what you need to. Now, when you think about those individuals that are signing up, they're going through that processing and become members of your association. They're now living in iMIS. You have that integration available between iMIS and the community, where you're coming in here and saying, okay, now what else do I know about them? What can I recommend for them? How can I prove to them that as an association, we're providing a member benefit? The community is a great way to do that. We have this dashboard, or what we call our member home area, that's going to highlight a lot of the different content components, hot topics that are happening in their space. So you see here, we have a lot of the different discussions that are going on. There might be blogs that are being posted. Maybe there's different events that are being hosted that you want to make sure it's front and center to those individuals. But what do we know about them, right? How much of their profile have they completed? What has been brought over from iMIS that can influence some of that? That's where you're going to say, okay, they're this level of member. They have this level of certification. Maybe they're a board member, right? Maybe they're in a particular area, geolocation, right? They're in one of the chapters. Make sure that that is something that you are collecting. And if so, as you collect that information, it's going to influence what they're seeing here. We've also thrown some gamification in here to give them that reason to want to complete that profile, go back to it, make sure they're made available to fellow members, make sure that they're also getting the right content. And then even, again, some of that emotional connection of like, are you looking for a job? Are you someone that's hiring? That's all something that we'll make available through this dashboard here. Now, another area that really has benefited associations is the ability to come in here and say, okay, certainly the association has documents, files, videos that they want to share with their members. Again, making that an opportunity to show your members that it is a benefit to have the membership, right? Here's a new policy update. Here's a starter kit for, someone who's just started in that industry. You're able to host a lot of that within the library. The benefits of having that through the Higher Logic solution is that you can also get your members to contribute to that, provide feedback in some of those documents that are out there, and just share a lot of that knowledge. We at Higher Logic know that a lot of members, new members that come on board, they're either asking a question or they're looking for a document right out of the gate. And this is just a good way to be able to manage that, understand that, and even be able to measure to say, wow, this is getting a lot of views. This is a topic that I need to know that we have a learning path for, something we're talking about at our annual conference, or, it's something we should host a webinar about, by being able to see how people are interacting with content like that. And again, just another area that we know about our members is allowing them to network and connect. Again, another popular reason they join the association. How do we make that easy for them? How do we recognize those individuals that should be known, that individuals should see that, hey, that individual posted an answer and my confidence level is really high because I can see how much they've accomplished in their career. And maybe I should reach out to them for something like a mentor opportunity. All of that's something that you'd be able to set up within the community and create that experience for those members. But how do we get that going? How do we really accelerate some of these opportunities? I'm going to hand it off to Taryn to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. So, so about 11 years ago, I presented at a NiUG conference, and it's kind of ironic because, at the time I was presenting with Jeff Dornick from Higher Logic. I was working for Informs, and we had a presentation called Email Meet Social. And what's funny about it is just really, I feel like today we're coming full circle. I've really seen kind of the evolution of what these two platforms have been through, over the years. So I began working with associations 15 years ago when I started working for Informs. Prior to that, I used Informs at 2 different companies. Now I am a team lead for the Higher Logic Marketing Automation Advisors. So we have brought back the advisor team to Higher Logic, and we're really enjoying working closely with customers. On my team, we have over 60 years experience combined working with Higher Logic marketing automation tools and with associations specifically. So for me, a true email marketer, the past 6 years has just been, like I said, an evolution. I know that, within your online community, you have this universe of people where 90% of your people are just there lurking, they're consuming the information. We have 5% of people who are kind of creating content and 5% of people who are contributing, right? So they're maybe participating in the discussion. And then with email, you had this universe of people where if you're lucky, 100% of them are consuming the information that you want them to consume, but there's always been fewer opportunities to kind of take action beyond the email itself. So continuing discussion, leveraging unique data insights. And so obviously the Higher Logic Thrive platform has kind of changed this landscape a bit, and that's what I'm going to show you today. And we'll dive into the platform. Just give me a second. All right. So the basics, I guess success kind of grows from the integration that exists between iMIS and Higher Logic marketing, right? So we obviously have a successful integration that kind of means, you know, you're sending over your groups of people, your groups of your members that you want to be able to target to. In addition to that, you're able to have personalization fields that you have access to, so you're able to personalize the content that you are sending to these members. On beyond that, you know, communication preferences are a huge point of value. You want to be able to say, you know, allow your members to raise a hand and say, yes, I want this type of communication. Maybe no, I don't want this communication. One thing I want to point out that's available within the Higher Logic Thrive platform is the ability to toggle between marketing and community. So that's first and foremost. Second, within our groups area, we have the ability to access your integrated groups that you're creating iMIS, your IQAs, all different iMIS target group types. So these are just some examples of some of the things that I'm seeing over my 15 years working directly with customers of the types of groups that they're pulling, you know, from iMIS. So there might be something like member category, show me member category X, member status of active, member type, you know, student, something along those lines. So we have some examples here. So this is all great information, but what I'm really seeing from iMIS customers specifically is with this, you know, ability to kind of connect with community through the Higher Logic Thrive platform is another layer of kind of micro targeting, as I'm calling it. So we have the integrated target groups, and then beyond that, we now have access to these interesting other segments that are coming over directly from Higher Logic Thrive. So we have things like, you know, show me everybody who's logged in the past 30 days, or show me everyone who's, you know, in community or in Thrive and does not have a profile picture. Show me everyone who's not posted in the past 90 days. Who are my top 10 bloggers, right? So these are the people who are creating the content. These might also be good opportunities for speakers and things of that nature. On top of that, inherently with this platform, you're also going to see things like engagement score. So you'll automatically know, you know, these are the people who are actively involved in my email, who are my A's, who are my F's, right? And then what I'm seeing our customers do to really get deep into kind of that micro targeting is, you know, using what we call compounds to be able to say, show me everybody in my Thrive platform who is, you know, unengaged. Maybe they haven't created a post in 90 days, or show me everyone who hasn't logged in 90 days. Well, that's interesting, but maybe on top of that, you say, okay, you know, what about somebody who's unengaged in email and in community and has not attended any event, any conference in 12 months? You could take that further and say also, how about look at this group and show me who's up for renewal in the next 120 days, right? So that you're able to take action on these members before they are at risk for non-renewal. And so we're seeing people doing that more and more. With the customers that I work with, we kind of take these bits of data and then we brainstorm, you know, what are some of the things that we can do with this information? And so typically what we'll do is we'll come up with a plan. You know, how are we going to target these people? So that's kind of a first next step. And we'll come in here and we'll kind of start brainstorming and create a message. So I've created a message in here, an email message, one-off. This is different from a full campaign, which we'll get into. briefly, but I have a message in here. So a few months ago, I hosted a design webinar. This isn't an email example from that design webinar, but I did take customer inspiration, I should say, from that particular design webinar and kind of injected that into this email so that you can kind of see some of the things that customers are doing. So the first one that I want to point out is, this is a typical customer newsletter, quarterly newsletter. What we are able to do here, so we can say, welcome to your first edition of Sign 5. So this might be targeted specifically to new members. So I can come in here and say, send this story to a subset of all my members, so that if I'm a new member, I'm only seeing this story the first time I receive it. So we're seeing things like that, and we can have them automatically kind of explore community right from the get-go. They know it's available, they know it's there, and they're able to do that. We're also seeing customers take hot topics from community. So they might look up search terms, or they might, they might reference a very popular topic or a blog and be able to take that content and post it right in the email message. We have other customers coming down here. So obviously a best practice, a member spotlight. We have featured updates and linking out to images. We have other customers who also are, kind of advertising to add a profile picture to your profile in Thrive, right? So we have update your profile. You can also you can target this to say anybody who doesn't have a profile, so that only those people are seeing that particular message. Coming down here, if I click add content, we also have this interesting feature, dynamic RSS. And so there's a particular customer, American Library Association, their entire newsletter that they have going out, one of their newsletters is leveraging this functionality. Essentially what it does is pull a community feed into the newsletter, and they have this message going out to non-members, and when they click that teaser content from a particular RSS, so it's basically just a feed of their community they're emailing out, and those non-members are teased the content, and they're prompted to kind of log in to view more or join to view more. So you would put in your URL there, and you're able to kind of showcase how many stories you want to promote within the newsletter. In addition, as you're building these out, we have obviously various options within here. There's another feature that customers are using called targeted subject lines. And so what this is another way to micro target your messaging. So you can say, for the people who joined in the past 7 days, I would like to have them receive a different subject line than maybe the people who have been unengaged in email for a certain period of time. Maybe it's a year. So it's, we miss you around here, come join the discussion. So these opportunities are now available to take what you know about your members with those compound target groups, to be able to say, for people who are new, send them this subject line. For people who are unengaged and at risk, we want to try to re-engage them. We're going to send them a different subject line. So those are some of the things that we are seeing on our regular basis in our newsletters. Additionally, on a larger scale, we're seeing a lot of campaigns being created. And so I have one example here. So if I go in here and I hit create new campaign, and I want to create a series of messaging, obviously we have campaign canvases in here that make it super easy and downloadable content you can add to a particular campaign, that has logic built into it already, with decision steps and so on. I'm going to go ahead and I'll just select one just so you can see. When you select them, you kind of have the ability to see recommendations. Going back out, let's go back to the one I've pre-built here, just to give you an example of what I'm seeing customers doing, kind of taking it and making it their own. We have, in this case, a series of messages that's also taking those data points or those micro targets into consideration when building out a campaign. So we have a welcome for our new members. We obviously know that when you are hitting new members with content and they're engaging within that content within the first 7 days of their membership, they're more likely to renew. And so we really want to make sure that as new members are coming into iMIS or coming into into Thrive Community that they're being hit with a welcome email. And in this case, we have it with decision steps where it's prompting them to take action within that Thrive community. So we have like, for example, not yet posted. Well, then go ahead and introduce yourself. Email, we have wait 7 days. Are they missing a profile picture? Then we have them prompting to upload your profile picture and so on. And let's go forth with this. Let me see if I can show a report. With that campaign, we have the ability to obviously report out on how those mailings are doing. So some of the things that we're taking action on here, we're able to see, you know, where people are in the campaign. Within a flow, you can see how many people are in certain wait steps. You can also go into your mailings and report on all 3 mailings and compare them. So that's something I'm constantly doing with customers, seeing how successful a particular mailing was, how successful a subject line was in particular. So this is on a grander scheme of several mailings. If you're wanting to report on an individual mailing, we can do that as well. So with that newsletter that I showed, some interesting things to point out here. So we have a snapshot tab, key metrics of how the mailing performed. But on the details tab, you really have that bread and butter. You have every little piece of information that you could potentially want to know about how a mailing performed or a message performed. And a couple of things to point out in here, one being targeted subjects. So I had mentioned, how did those, you know, I wanted to micro-target subject lines to different segments. Well, within here, I can actually see, rather than an A/B test, this is even more, I think, beneficial than an A/B test to be able to say, okay, you know, this particular segment or target group received this subject line, and this is how it performed. And you can kind of see here what that actually meant for those particular people. We also give you insights into recency. So if you're oversending, you know, how many messages were received, how many days since they last received the previous message. And, you know, there's all sorts of data in here that really help you with the data insights and taking action for further, you know, communications, calendars, and things of that nature. That was speed version of HL marketing. Looks like we're almost out of time, so I just didn't know if we wanted to wrap up with questions.
Awesome. Yeah, if there's any questions on there, Taryn, if you don't mind, stop sharing. I'm gonna drop this.
We currently do not have any questions.
I recognize some current Informs Higher Logic marketing customers that I work with or have worked with in the past on the phone as well.
Yes.
So you just
I
want to
will
make sure
say, sorry, go ahead, David.
Yeah, just any opportunities. Hopefully everybody's seeing the save the date for Higher Logic's Superforum next year. There's a call for speakers as well. So always curious to hear how you are leveraging some of that technology today. Areas that we could love to work with you to see, are you doing A/B testing? What can you improve on? Whether it's from the community side or of course from the marketing side of things. That's just another area that I know Taryn and team are also interested to learn more about it from our customers as they implement some of those changes.
Awesome. I will say that I love the campaigns and the fact that you all start up the campaigns so that there's at least a template to begin with. I mean, I used it back in the day where I don't think that option was there. And Taryn, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, in the beginning it was not.
It was very minimal in the past, but now the campaigns are amazing, and just being able to choose one that you really can utilize to start the process with. And once you have that one set up, it just makes things so much easier to move forward and just continue to add more and more to the automation campaigns. So kudos on amazing job setting those up.
I'm hosting an Optimize Your Envelope webinar for any of our current customers if they want to join next Tuesday.
Oh, very nice. Well, feel free to put the link in
I sure will.
The chat area. We'll definitely I, for one, would love to sign up for it,
Yeah.
but I'm at a conference next Tuesday driving down to Virginia. But maybe I can get the recording.
Sure thing.
Great. Well, thank you both very much. I appreciate the time that you put into being able to show everyone what Higher Logic Thrives platform can really do for the organization. It is one of the number one benefits that we offer here at NiUG, being your community. And we have a lot of individuals who utilize that community to get answers to their iMIS questions. And it saves organizations so much time and money to be able to lean on one another rather than having to go to their solution provider for those small one-off questions. Just be able to lean on the community as a whole. So thank you for a great product.